The youth are facing a lot of problems these days, one of which is dating. A lot don't know what dating really is and why it's different from hanging out. Well, I've got some advice that can help clear these things up as well as the words of an apostle. So, dating. What is it and why it's so important? First, let's start out with what dating actually is. Then I'll explain what it's become today. Dating, or courting as it was once called, was just as simple as taking someone you know out to a dance and dancing with them. When the dance is over for the night, you take her home and say something like, "Thanks for going out with me. I hope you had a good time." Then you give her like a kiss on the hand or something like that. And that's it. Next week, you can even go on another date with, you're not going to believe this, a different person. It's okay, really. You can even go on more than one date in the same day so long as you're not going on them at the same time, like in some lame 80s sitcom. That, or something like it, is what a date is. What has it become today? I'll tell you, but first I have to show you this chart of dating. I'm going to explain these top to bottom, so listen up. Hanging out. This is what dating has become today. Most people call it dating, and some think it's dating. But there are some big differences between them. Let me explain. Hanging out is casual, always will be. It often involves a group of people, not just you and your prospective date, and has a chance that the ratio of young men to young women will be uneven. They are only partially planned, too. For example, let's all meet at the mall, or someone's house. It's very different from a date. Moving on to a bagel. Other than being delicious, a bagel is a kind of unofficial date. It's along the lines that you call in all your friends together, and the only person that shows up is the girl you like. I've also heard them called scones. Call them what you like, they're still not a date. I already explained what dating is. Now I'll explain the difference between casual and serious dating. With serious dating, you're looking to pursue a relationship, whereas with casual dating, you're learning what you want from a relationship. Their structure is the same, which should be a meal if you're hungry, before or after a planned activity, which should be somewhere or someplace where you can easily talk to each other. Everybody calls me nasty names when I date more than one person. I think this is one of the reasons why people started calling dating hanging out. Once they start dating someone, they get labeled as an item. But if they're just hanging out, it means that they can date more people and not get labeled as something nasty. But just remember that these people that say these things have worldly ideals, and we know that the world isn't very happy. 1 Nephi, chapter 8, verse 33 has the answer. And great was the multitude that did enter into that strange building. And after they did enter into that building, they did point the finger of scorn at me and those who were partaking of the fruit also. But we heeded them not. What a wonderful answer. Just don't pay any attention to them. Because if you do, your feelings get hurt. And if your feelings get hurt, you may want to start hanging out instead of dating. And right there, dating has just been labeled hanging out. And now we can see how dating has degraded into just that. Up until now, it's just been me and my own opinions. Time to back up what I've said with a talk by Dallin H. Oaks of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, who says, dating has nearly disappeared completely and, quote, it has been replaced by something called hanging out, unquote. He describes hanging out as consisting of, quote, a number of young men and young women joined together in some group activity. It is very different from dating, unquote. Then he goes on to explain dating. Quote, unlike hanging out, dating is not a team sport. Dating is pairing off to experience the kind of one-on-one association and temporary commitment that can lead to marriage in some rare and treasured cases, unquote. He then lists 4 things which he believes are contributing factors to this problem, which I will sum up. Number 1. Cultural tides run strongly against commitments and family relationships. Divorce has been made legally easy, and childbearing has become unpopular. He comments, dating involves commitment, whereas hanging out requires none, at least not for the man if the women provide the food and shelter. Elder Oaks explained it perfectly here. One of the purposes of dating is for men to prove themselves and to their dates that they can provide financial and physical safety. Number 2. The leveling effect of the women's movement has contributed to discourage dating. Some women have become more aggressive, and some men have become reluctant to take traditional male roles, such as asking for dates, among other things, lest they be labeled as a chauvinist. Number 3. Hanging out and staying single has been glamorized by the media. And number 4. The meaning and significance of a date has been skewed. People think they have to be grand events, often doing elaborate or bizarre things to ask for a date. He goes on saying, quote, all of this made dating more difficult, and the more elaborate and expensive the date, the fewer the dates. As dates become fewer and more elaborate, this seems to create an expectation that a date implies seriousness or continuing commitment. That expectation discourages dating even more. Gone is the clumsy and inexpensive phone call your parents and grandparents and I used to make. That call went something like this. What are you doing tonight? How about a movie? Or how about a walk downtown? Cheap dates like that can be frequent and non-threatening, since they don't seem to imply a continuing commitment. He repeats something like what I said earlier. Casual dates help us know what we want in a future spouse, and serious dating helps you find that spouse. Here are some tips. First, young men, take the initiative and get on with it. If you don't know what a date is, here's another definition that requires just 3 things. It must be planned, paid for, and paired off. If you need some ideas for what to do, take these. Go for a picnic or a walk in the park. Perhaps you both play instruments. You could learn to play a song together. Second, stay safe. Go to public places and avoid being alone together. Third, young women, make it easy for the young men to ask you out. Ask for simple, inexpensive dates and avoid implying that a date is a serious thing and has a continued commitment attached. Fourth, if you turn down a date, don't make up any strange excuses about why you can't go out. These can be insulting, and they may not even help you, as the more determined men will just ask you when you won't be occupied with some strange activity. Remember, be kind and gentle, otherwise you may crush a nervous and shy questioner and destroy him as a potential dater. Elder Oaks and I have just given you some wonderful advice. Now I have just a little bit more. Remember to use these things in your life. This knowledge will help you have happier relationships and avoid the oft-times devastating heartbreak and alienation of friends that occurs when using the dating standards of the world. And that's it. I hope I was able to disperse some of that confusion and answer your questions. Thank you for watching.